it's kind of two ways, or it's really a virtuous cycle, right? If you pay attention to your craft, you are going to have more confidence. You are going to, if you really pay attention to your craft, you're going to see clearer possibilities because you're going to know more about the network and the ecosystem that you're working in, or that your customers are working in. But you're going to have more confidence because if you know that you can truly transform people's lives, for instance, I'm thinking about Sarah, who is doing this, AI business planning workshop, or Lisa, who does flower arranging, or my sister, Erin, who does, her veterinary business, or that gal, remember that gal who was at the conference, who was who interviewed you for the podcast? Yes, Fraser, I do remember her. She has her own business, right? Everybody's doing their thing. Amanda has her, unstucking. Everybody's doing their stuff. If they truly believe that they can transform people's lives, and you connect that with your cheerleading or anybody's cheerleading or each other's cheerleading, then they're going to have greater confidence.
Yes.
So all we're really talking about is be a professional, which means the best line I ever heard about that is amateur or normal people practice until they get it right. Professionals practice until they can't get it wrong. And so you being in a situation where you're like, I want this to be the best 50 minutes that people ever experienced in their life. Because that's what a professional would do, right? That's excellence. That's mastering your craft or whatever. You micro expressing on me?
Yeah, because I was thinking I need to do better.
Okay, good. You feel convicted. All right. And then the other piece is, if you do that, it is not true that if you build a better mousetrap, the world will beat a path to your door. But it is true that if you're going to get the world to beat a path to your door, you should have a better mousetrap. And it's also true that if you build a better mousetrap and you hook it up to some of the things that we're talking about, the world will beat a path to your door. Yeah. And they'll be happy they came to your door, and all those mice are going to die. Okay. So let's talk about how we focused on the linchpin of you believing in yourself. At its root, you're talking about that you have this belief in yourself that made you fearless, or at the very least, that you had a belief that it's okay to fail, and that failure is not fatal, and failure is not perfect. Failure is part of the process of being awesome.
I sometimes imagine that and I heard this years ago, that I'm just a pawn in a play. Like, I'm just an actress in a play. And so when I fail sometimes, or even when I win, I get a kick out of it both ways, right? I'm like, ooh, that was well played. I failed nicely there. Like, I feel like I'm going to get a standing ovation for that failure. Mm-hmm. Like, my facial expression in that failure, I'll give you a brief example. I did stand-up comedy in New York City, and I had an opportunity. So I used to do it at Stand Up New York, 78th and Broadway. It was in a basement. The seats are tight. You could smoke back then. And that's how you actually want to do comedy. And I had an opportunity. The general manager, Tim Davis, hooked me up to speak at the World Trade Center. And I was working at the World Trade Center, Building 6. So I was the public information officer for ATF. So I had a Mac Daddy office. I was 26. Mac Daddy office. I climbed the ladder pretty quickly because I'm fearless and driven. And I am a hard worker, I will say that. But I play as hard as I work. I have a lot of downtime too. Still, even as an entrepreneur, you and I said I'll meet you at 10:30, but I'll also be up till 4 a.m. to get something done. But anyway, I had an opportunity at the World Trade Center where you could look. I saw the Dixie Chicks there on stage when they were just first coming up, and they did Comedy Wednesday. I have a picture of me in the World Trade Center stage, and I had a purple little blazer. I was cute. I was small, and I was terrible. I bombed, like terribly. And people are eating lunch, and if they're walking by, I mean, it's outside, an outside stage in the middle of the afternoon at lunch. It was like at 12:30, at 1 o'clock. I was absolutely terrible. And when I got off stage, I just stood there and I was like, I just did stand-up comedy at the World Trade Center. And I failed. Like, I sucked. And I still had someone believe in me enough to give me the spot. How cool was that? Like you with the song, with the Kenny Rogers song there, the greatest. You know, he gets his ball and his bat, and he hits the ball. He's out in the field, the little kid, and he throws the ball up and he misses and he swings. You did it such a great way. I love how you twirled your body around. You're like, praise for O'Leary, up at that. And then he throws the ball up again. He's imagining people cheering his name, Frazier, Frazier. And he goes to hit the ball and hits the ground. And the third time he strikes himself out, and then the mother calls him, you know, Frazier, dinner, dinner. And he grabs his ball and he grabs his bat. It's called The Greatest by Kenny Rogers. And he goes home and he tells his mother, Mom, I'm the greatest baseball player of all time. And I had no idea I was such a great pitcher. Mm-hmm. I think like that often. Like that song, I love that song. When you brought that up the other day, I'm like, oh, we're totally meant to be friends for sure. And God put us together to grow an empire in some way, to help people's lives. Because those, like, divine alignments, no, I've never heard someone else tell that story to me other than you. Yeah. And I go, where did you hear that? You're like, I don't know, I've just heard it over the years. Like, that's a big thing for me. So anyway, I go back to when I failed at the World Trade Center. I got off stage. I was not embarrassed. I had excitement. And I go, I just stood on a stage in New York City at 26 years old, did comedy. I was terrible. And guess what? Even though I was terrible, all those people still sat there and looked at me. Listen, I'll give you another story. It all goes back to my mother. Is this? I gave birth to my son Angus, July 7th, 2005. After I gave birth to Angus, it was a week later, I had bought tickets to go see, in New York City, I was living here in Washington, Alexandria, Virginia, outside of D.C., and I bought tickets to go see Madonna. I don't know if you remember this show with Madonna, but this is where Madonna like came up from under the stage. It was very controversial. She had George W. Bush, who was our president at the time, compared to Stalin, and she had like this screen, and it was George W. Bush and Hitler and Stalin, and she came up from under the stage in a cross, and she had a crown on her head, being Jesus, and she's like na 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 na, and I just remember her like a couple weeks earlier, and Madonna evidently doesn't like the hall cold. There's no air conditioning. It's July, bro, in New York City. It was so hot. I was sweating to death. I just had a baby, so I still had my baby weight on. But when I was feeling down.
She's crying again.
I was feeling down because my marriage wasn't that great. I have a new baby. I think my husband was unemployed at the time. I just was, and I just had a baby, so I probably got all that hormone shenanigans happening. And guess what I did? When Madonna, we had pretty close seats. I would say we had like 50 rows back from the stage. When Madonna starts to come up,
she's getting up.
I'm with my friend Terry Moore, the stand-up comedian in New York. I met her there. Terry's off to my right. Madonna's coming up in front of us, you know. The tickets were like $800 each or something. And Madonna starts coming up. You know what I did?
No.
I turned around, put my back to Madonna, and I looked at the audience of thousands of people, and they were screaming and yelling and chanting and going crazy for Madonna. And I put my hands out like Christ, and I thanked the audience for welcoming me. They're like, yeah, screaming, screaming. My friend Terry touches me. She goes, Madonna's this way. What are you doing? I go, I'll tell you in a second. And I just stood there accepting all that love, that energy that people were sending to Madonna. I just turned around and received it. When I literally opened my hands, I was like, thank you. No one's looking at me. And all of a sudden, it was like, I watched the series The Flash with Charlie and Jack, my two littles. They're 11 and 12. It was like that in The Flash. They have all these special effects. It's like, and the Flash like goes somewhere and super fast, and there's like a bolt of lightning. That's what happened to me. It was all this energy just got right into my soul. I left feeling taller. I don't even remember the Madonna part. All I left was feeling, I'm going to be okay. It was so awesome. So like I say to people, like if I have sisters that are having a tough time or a friend, and they're really down in the dumps, I say, do you want a tip? And they'll say, what? And I go buy yourself a ticket to a show, like a concert or something, any type of concert, a play, anything that's going to be magnificent, where people are going to give a standing ovation. And when they give the standing ovation, you turn around and receive it as if everyone is applauding for you. So, Neville Goddard always talks about visualizing and imagining that it already happened.
Yeah.
Already feeling what it feels like to have that.
Yeah.
So for me, think about it. That's before I had 2 TED Talks that have gone viral with over 7 million people, or 8 million people now combined. That's before the Atlanta Hawks becomes a client of mine. Before Sarah Blakely and Jesse Itzler, billionaires, invite me to their breakfast last weekend in New York City with family and friends. There's 50 people in a restaurant Jesse Itzler rents. And I'm invited, and I get to bring 3 of my friends with me, and they all get pictures with Sarah Blakely. My friend Becca had Sarah Blakely on her vision board 5 years ago. Her goal is to meet Sarah Blakely. After she met Sarah hugged her. They talked. I videotaped them. She's like, oh, this is the power of vision boards, everybody. Look, Becca put me on a vision board, and here we are on a video. She did it with such grace and generosity. After it was done, I'm sitting next to Becca, and her hands are literally shaking. And I go, what's going on? She's like, I don't know. And I go, you just changed your vibration. Because you had this thing for 5 years. It just happened. The vibration has shifted now for her. She's shaking. And I say all this because I'm a Christian girl, and I believe we're human beings. We're energy. We are energy.
Can you sit back down?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I know. I'm sending my energy to you.
You're,
I'm like hovering right over you.
Jeez Louise.
I'm hovering right over you. So, and I got you these things from my office here. These are today's messages for you. But that Madonna day changed my life. I literally, in that moment, not only was taking their energy, but I was imagining one day I will be on a stage where I'm getting standing ovations. So think about it. I was still with ATF then. This was 2003. So I'm still with ATF. I came on board in 1993. So I was visualizing one day, this is me. This is now. It was awesome. It was so good. As a matter of fact, I'm so glad I haven't thought about that in years. And I'm glad I thought about it because now I want to today, because I'm manifesting some big, epic things right now. I'll tell you about it afterwards, not on the show yet. Getting back, I'm going to loop back into the Hawks again.
Okay.
I think movement pattern analysis is the new money ball for sports.
Okay.
And I just went to, I'll tell this briefly, but I just went to a game, the Atlanta Hawks. I wrote questions for them with their draft. And that year, last year, they ended up with the first draft pick. They picked this really nice guy from France. They love him. And he's really great. He killed it the other day at the game. And even though I'm here in D.C., they played against the Wizards. So I wrote to Kyle Cover, the assistant general manager, and said, hey, I was surprised I didn't see you at Jesse Itzler's show. He killed it on Broadway show. There's 1,500 people there, well-deserved standing ovation. He goes, oh my gosh, I didn't know it was happening. I'll have to catch the next one. So now Jesse's thinking of taking it on the road and going around the world with it, which I think he should. And I said, hey, I happen to see that the Hawks are playing tonight, the Washington, D.C. Wizards. If you're here, I'd love to give you a hug and say hi. And I'm wondering if you could throw a couple tickets my way. He goes, I'm not there. I'm recruiting at another state. I won't say who, so I don't want to give it away.
Sure.
And he said, but I'll send you some tickets. So myself and my ex-husband took our youngest son, Jack, because Charlie, the middle, was on a camping trip, 20-degree weather with the Boy Scouts for 2 nights. So Jack went to his first NBA basketball game. Cool. We sat right next to the announcers. Anyway, at the end, I sent the scoreboard to Kyle and to Jesse Itzler, who's an owner of the Hawks. Yeah. Him and his wife, Sarah Blakely, part owners. And I said, hey, your team just won. I said, Jesse, your boy Kyle hooked me up with 3 tickets right here. Awesome seats. And Jesse's like, oh, man, I wish I was there at the game with you guys. I go, I know. Well, you guys won. Congrats. It's awesome. Their team is improving. They have a bunch of young guys. They have, an amazing coach, a new general manager. So Kyle Cover says to me, hey, by any chance did you look at the body language movements of my players and of the coaches? I said, oh, I was on the opposite side. It was too far away. Great seats, but still too far away from my eyes. But I was trying to watch it. And I did notice something about the seats. I didn't know. Do you know this about home seats? So in the NBA, the seats for the home team are very comfortable. They recline. They bounce. They are different heights depending on how tall you are.
The players?
The players'
seats.
Okay. Did you know that?
No.
So the player seats at the home team on all NBA teams, this took place in 2006.
The stuff on the, like where the players are sitting on the bench.
Yeah, where they sit on the bench.
But that's just, I thought those were just, I thought
folding
they were
chairs?
folding chairs.
They are for the opposing team that's coming.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so did I. So my ex-husband noticed it. He goes, hey, look at the home team right here. So some of the seats have like 8 inches of padding. They have a special spring. They have a little recline. and some of the seats are like 6 feet off the ground for the taller guys. But the visiting team has just the fold-out chairs.
Interesting.
So I noticed that. So I told Kyle, I said, I noticed that the seats, I'm going to do a podcast on it because it's not a good thing. Because you want twitch energy for basketball. If you're taking 5 minutes out or 2 minutes out of the game, you're taking a quick 2-minute break or 30-second, whatever it is. You don't want to be in a comfortable seat, bro.
I see what you're saying.
What do baseball players? What do runners do? You're jumping. You want to keep it fired.
I got you.
So there's something called embodied cognition. The softer the seat, the more. In sales, you as the person in sales shouldn't be in the hardest seat, and the person you're selling to should be in that comfortable seat. We mix it up all the time.
Sure.
The softer the seat, the more easygoing and flexible. The harder the seat, the more hard ass, and you can stand firm. So it's actually an advantage for the opposing team to be a little uncomfortable. It keeps their twitch going.
Sure.
So I'm doing a podcast on it today. That's why I did my hair and makeup today before we talked.
Gotcha.
I'm going to knock it out. But I told Kyle that, and I go, hey, here's the podcast I'm going to do. I wrote it all up while I was there. He then says, I'd like to know what you think of the coach. And I don't know anything about the coach. I don't know his name. I go, listen, my ex-husband's driving home. We have like a 45-minute, an hour drive. I'll go find a video of the coach, and I'll give you some high-level feedback through the lens of movement pattern analysis. Now, you have to code someone for 2 hours of footage, so I can only give you what I'm noticing. So I look at the coach. I'm in love with the coach. Not what I expected at all. Very humble. He does a lot of what we call shrinking and binding. So he kind of gets small. He's very easygoing. There's no increase in pressure, which is connected to determining, which is the push to get stuff done. But there is diagonal leaning from his right shoulder to his left, like slightly. If you fast forward and back and forth, it almost looks like a seesaw with his shoulders, which is evaluating. It's a system. Now, I don't know anything about this coach. So based on his body language, I write up all this stuff to Kyle Kober. Guys, go in the next room. I write up all this stuff. I go, hey, here's what I'm noticing. So this indicates to me this is probably his strong suit. The driver is evaluating, connected to anticipating about the future. And I think his biggest weaknesses are determining, the push to get stuff done. He'll probably want to avoid confrontation. And I wrote up all this stuff. Had ChatGPT clean it all up for me. And then I also wrote, he has no directing. Directing is something that's connected to details. But here's the problem. Everything I could find online in that brief amount of time said this guy's very detail-oriented. He knows all about the game. He's super detail-oriented on the court. He's a basketball player himself, former basketball player. He's very, very detail-oriented, knows all about data, blah, blah, blah. But I wasn't seeing it in his movement. And I go, no, his data is coming from something else, which is called identifying, which is noticing your environment. Like my room is cold here. So I just turn the heat on. But if you go in there, it's 3 degrees colder. Someone high in identifying can notice the environment, people, everything about the environment. You could say, 16 cars already drove by today.
I gotcha.
A low identifier wouldn't notice anything.
Right. They wouldn't see the deer.
They wouldn't see the deer. They wouldn't.
Was that crazy?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
I sent you a text.
No.
I sent you a text yesterday. I said, I've never seen that deer.
Oh, yeah, last night. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
You didn't see it? Yeah, it's been there forever. So that's identifying. You're probably a moderate identifier.
But do you know what the upshot was?
What?
All right. I saw, you did not read this text, clearly.
I saw that you never saw the sign. No, I was doing something.
I got you.
I just came in.
I never saw the sign. So I'm driving. I've been here, 20 times, 30 times in this house. I'm driving back like yesterday. I've never seen it. I was like, oh, that's interesting, deer crossing. 20 feet later, 5 deer crossing.
Oh, and I didn't see that part.
Yes.
I was flirting with some guy on the
I got you.
call.
5 deer crossing
Stop
after
it.
I saw the deer crossing sign for the first time. I've never seen deer here, obviously, and I've never seen a deer crossing. First time I see the deer crossing, I see 5 deer crossing.
That's God all day long.
That's
right
crazy.
That's God.
That's not even like good God. That's like God like putting like Easter eggs. That's like God like having some throwaway shit he wants to put into the story. All right.
I can't believe that you saw the deer.
That's what I wrote in the literal thing.
I was on a call.
Apparently.
But let me finish this. So I send my analysis to Kyle Culver.
Yeah.
Do you know what he wrote back? I'll tell you the one sentence. Ready? One sentence. He writes, stand by. Here it is. Ready? Janine! Exclamation point. Girl, these are insane. Can we talk this week? 2 exclamation points.
Right.
Based on movement. And I'm going to teach the people in this group. I'm going to analyze their movement. And I'm going to talk about their weaknesses and strengths and how do we, because your weaknesses never go away. We create strategies around them.
Well, so let me say this for the people who are listening to this. Janine, reading your movement and doing movement pattern analysis for you would be really great. And what would be life-changingly great is you noticing what Janine just did.
Yes.
What Janine just did is she identified a technology that she can master that wows other people so that she can make $10 million over the next few years because she is people like technology. If you do not have a technology in your business, if you do not have a methodology, if you do not have a hook where they feel like you are giving them a hack or they're giving you the secret bullet or the silver bullet or whatever, you need to add that to your business. That's what people want. People want something that makes life easier and makes sense. So what she's doing is she said, for those people who don't know this, she said money pattern or movement pattern analysis is going to be the new Moneyball, which Moneyball was a technology. It was a philosophy. It was a way of fixing or getting a unique advantage in baseball, and it transformed the sport. She's saying that movement pattern analysis could transform basketball, and it can transform sales, and it could transform parenting, and it could transform dating, because it's a technology, and she is, just like with body language, which really it is body language, she is, and even that, body language isn't as sexy as movement pattern analysis is. Nonverbal communication isn't as sexy as body language analysis or as movement pattern analysis. All of that is to say, we're going to switch gears. I want to say one thing before I ask for an origin story. It's this. People think that success is collecting trophies or collecting awards or collecting medals or collecting achievements. And it is. But it happens on the far side of collecting failures. If you can intentionally, and I think that this would be a really powerful outgrowth of this group, just imagine 10, 50, 100, 1,000, 10,000 women who are in a community that makes it not just okay, but expected. The culture demands that you go flame out at the World Trade Center in comedy at the World Trade Center, or you reach out to Sarah Blakely and get a no. Getting no's not only helps you get yeses, but it helps you get used to no's.
Yeah. So
this is where you guys need, and I hate to say this, it's very blunt, you need a nose job.
Yay!
All right? Hey!
That was funny.
Made that up on the spot.
Take that, Savannah O'Leary.
Exactly, Crystal, Rick.
Charming, Savannah.
You charismatic people. So what we want to do is that. Now,